Diet, diet, diet. I get asked a lot about my diet. So I make my breakfast here. Let's talk about it. People saw that I lost a lot of weight. They said, hey, you went from heavy to not as heavy. And I want to know how and why and what do you eat. So I'll keep it very simple and to the point. When it comes to dieting, or losing weight, or how I eat. Let's talk about how I eat. I think in very simple terms. There are macros that are for building. Like if I didn't do anything in a day, nothing physically active, what kind of macro profile and caloric profile would I need? And there are macros for fuel, like carbohydrates. And they have benefits too, typically, like fiber and aspects like that. Then we'll talk about vegetables or fruits specifically. We'll just talk about the general terms. So in a normal day, or just in general, the thing that stays the same is my protein intake and roughly my fat intake. So I'll have the same protein, same fat, kind of regardless of what I'm doing that day. Then what simply changes are the number of carbohydrates I consume, and that's based on the amount of physical activity I'm going to do. So it makes my eating habits really simple and easy to adjust. Instead of thinking about food in just this general term of something that fulfills your appetite demands, or something that in a very nebulous, non-specific term gives you energy, you can think about certain categories of food, macronutrients, actually being the ones that provide the energy. And then you have certain macros that build. That is going to be a general term. That doesn't build muscle, but responsible for structural demands. You can say like proteins like that, as well as fats. And then obviously fats are benefits for hormones, neurotransmitters, cellular walls, all those things. So protein and fats are structural, but protein is structural in the sense that often directly goes towards your contractile aspects, your muscles. So when I think about eating, as I make my food here, I then organize my consumption habits around my physical activities. So nutrient timing. And this isn't necessarily for any form of optimization of muscle mass or muscle building or anything like that. This is strictly for the ability that I can eat food and not feel like crap during my workouts. So if I have a workout coming up in the morning and I didn't eat much the night before, I need to make sure I get enough carbohydrates so I can perform well. If I have a workout, let's say midday, it's going to be a long workout, let's say 2 hours. Well, then what I eat in the morning and what I eat for lunch really plays an important role. Let's say, but maybe like my lunch is going to be a smaller meal because the digestion window is smaller there. Because I'm working out in the afternoon, like at 1 o'clock, my breakfast might be much larger. Let's say I'm going to play basketball this morning, which I plan to do so, even though my knees are bothering me. We're going to have a test run. I'm not going to eat this many carbs. I'm going to have rice with my eggs that I'm making right here. And so boring is very easy to manage. I have the same breakfast all the time. I have very similar lunch patterns. My dinner does vary, and I'm willing to have cheat meals, or not a whole meal that's not cheap, but foods that I prefer, that I kind of ignore the calorie load on it. And I only do that every so often. So maybe, I don't know, I throw away these eggshells once a week, maybe once a week. And it's not like the whole day, it's just like a single meal. Even a single food item, basically. And so by keeping things very simple, understanding the purpose of the food, it becomes super easy to manipulate. So I then base my calorie consumption on what I'm doing, right? Because if I just want to lose weight, obviously I just should eat less, but I'm not just trying to lose weight. I'm trying to train maybe while I'm losing weight. And so I still have to fuel myself up and be ready to go during these workouts that I am still trying to perform in, even though I am losing weight. Well, I'm not. I did lose weight at one point in time as I did this. And then once you have your habit and you understand how your body works and how you respond to things, you can then begin to manipulate aspects of it based on how you or what you feel, like trying to flip these eggs here, is not working. And what I mean by that is sometimes you might say, okay, I ate a certain pattern here, it didn't sit with me well, I couldn't train well. Okay, adjust. Like, you're allowed to move things around. I think people get so caught up in, I have to be this, I have to be keto, I have to be, name your favorite diet, or have to eat at this certain time, or optimize my meals this way. If it gets in the way of your actual goal, then it's not helping you. It's a hindrance. It's not supportive. So be honest with yourself as to whether or not how you're treating your quote-unquote diet is actually helpful to your goals. Or is it something that's not sustainable at all? Like the amount of effort you put in to even meet your dietary needs based on whatever diet you're trying to do becomes so high that it exerts a demand that gets in the way of other things in your life, and therefore it's not going to be sustainable. Another part about it is, like, if you are losing weight and you want to lose weight, let's spilled some eggs here. Weighing yourself matters. So I like to weigh myself weekly, well, every day throughout a week, take the weekly average, and then I'll say, okay, I don't need to overreact to any one day because it's the weekly average that's going to dictate my process. But also some weeks I'll just try and maintain weight, because if you just strictly lose weight every single week over and over again, I find that to be too difficult to adjust my diet around. So I don't just want to know what I need to eat to lose weight, but also what I can eat to maintain weight. And then once I'm at a certain weight, I want to then figure out how much possible food I can consume and still be at this weight and build up my metabolism so I can eat a ton of stuff. Also because I want to figure out, 1 second. I want to figure out how many carbs, I'm a big carb guy, I eat tons of carbs, I can eat during the training week or phase and have it not, get carried away and gain too much weight. But I find that I like carbs, but mainly I like them because of fuel. So I just burnt my eggs because I was talking to you guys. That's too bad. I'll live with it. Here's my pile of breakfast. I'm going to eat this. I'm done with breakfast. Well, done making breakfast. I'm going to make coffee now. And talk to you guys later. Hope that makes sense. So by the way, let's sum it up really quick. Big takeaways. Number 1, understand why you eat certain types of food and what they do. Don't become obsessive about it, but just understand it. Right? Your macros. What macros do you have a lot of freedom to change during the day, during the week? What macros do you have less freedom to change? In my opinion, I like to keep my fats, my carbs, my fats, my protein, pretty stable. And I like to keep my carbs in flux based on needs. Not even talking about type of carbs because you can get more detail there. It's not going to make a huge difference in my opinion, but fast acting, slow acting, that kind of stuff. And then I like to weigh myself throughout a cycle of weight loss or whatever you're trying to do. I like to take maintenance phases. I like to think about nutrient timing, how it makes me feel, and ultimately not letting it get in the way of my training. Appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoy. And I'll eat my breakfast.